They laughed at you, didn't they? Every dream you dared to whisper, every step you took toward something greater. The moment you opened your mouth to speak your ambition, the smirks spread across their faces like wildfire. They didn't even try to hide it. The rolling eyes, the chuckles just loud enough for you to hear, the knowing glances they exchanged as if your belief in yourself was some kind of joke. They made sure you felt it, the weight of their disbelief, the sting of their mockery. At first you tried to brush it off. They don't understand, you told yourself. They don't see the vision I see. But their laughter lingered, didn't it? It carved itself into your memory, replaying in the quiet moments when you were alone. It followed you home, whispering in the back of your mind when you lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, questioning every. Maybe they were right. Maybe you were foolish to think you could be more than what they assumed you were. Maybe you were chasing something too big, too impossible. And the worst part, it wasn't just strangers. It wasn't just faceless critics hiding behind screens or nameless voices in the crowd. No, sometimes it was the people closest to you, the ones who were supposed to believe in you, family members who smirked when you told them your plans, friends who patted you on the back and said, "That's nice," with that hollow, empty tone that told you they didn't believe a word you said. The ones who laughed the hardest were often the ones you loved the most. It wasn't just their words. It was their looks, their silence, their indifference. It was the way they changed the subject when you spoke about your dreams, the way they didn't even bother to ask about your progress, the way they never took you seriously. They dismissed you before you even had a chance to prove yourself. And that feeling, the feeling of being underestimated, disregarded, treated like an afterthought, it cut deeper than any insult ever could. You started to notice it everywhere, in the way they spoke to you, in the way they avoided speaking about you at all, in the way they placed limits on you, not with harsh words, but with quiet expectations that you would never be more than what you were. They didn't just laugh at your dreams. They laughed at the very idea that you could even have them, and you tried to fight it. You tried to ignore it. You tried to hold on to your belief in yourself. But doubt is a poison, and their laughter was the needle injecting it straight into your vein. It made you second-guess yourself. It made you hesitate. It made you question whether you even had the right to want something more. And that's how it starts, doesn't it? Not with failure, but with hesitation, with uncertainty, with that one tiny voice in your head whispering, "What if they're right?" You told yourself it didn't matter, that you didn't care, that their opinions meant nothing, but you did care. Because deep down, some part of you still wanted their approval. Some part of you still wanted them to see what you saw, to believe in you the way you so desperately wanted to believe in yourself. But they didn't, and they never would, so you swallowed it. The pain, the doubt, the humiliation. You wore a mask and pretended it didn't bother you, but inside it burned. Every laugh, every smirk, every dismissive glance, it all built up inside you, stacking like bricks, forming a wall between who you were and who you wanted to become. A wall made of every moment you felt small, every time someone made you feel like you weren't enough. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe them. Maybe you started to think that dream was too big. Maybe you started to shrink yourself just to fit inside the expectations they had for you. You started making your dreams smaller, your voice quieter, your steps shorter. You let their laughter dictate your limit. But tell me, what happens when that laughter fades? What happens when the world stops laughing because they've moved on, forgotten you, dismissed you completely? What happens when you're left alone with the silence? I'll tell you what happens. You either let that silence consume you, or you let it become the space where something new is born. The place where you decide that you're done living in the shadow of their ridicule, that you're done letting their laughter write your story. Because if you listen closely, beneath all that noise, there is another voice, a quieter voice, a voice that has been waiting for you to hear it. It's the voice that says, They don't get to decide who you are. They don't get to be right about you. It's the voice that tells you that every laugh, every doubt, every moment of rejection, that's not the end of your story. That's the beginning. So let them laugh, let them mock, let them underestimate you. Because one day soon, those same voices will fall silent. And when they do, the only sound left will be yours. You held on for as long as you could. You fought against their words, their laughter, their doubt, telling yourself that none of it mattered. You convinced yourself that belief alone was enough, that if you worked hard, if you stayed determined, you would prove them wrong. But life has a way of testing you in the cruelest ways. It doesn't just ask if you want something, it demands to know how badly. And you were about to find out just how much you could take before you broke. The first time you failed, it felt like a misstep, a setback, nothing more. You told yourself it was just part of the process. Every great success story had moments like this, right? So you dusted yourself off and tried again. But then it happened again and again and again. The rejection letters started piling up. The doors kept slamming shut. The opportunities you fought so hard for slipped through your fingers, leaving you grasping at nothing. And the world, it didn't stop to console you. It didn't pause to acknowledge your struggle. No, it just kept moving, indifferent, as if your dreams never mattered in the first place, as if you never mattered. Then came the public failure, the moments that haunted you, replaying over and over in your mind like a cruel joke. Maybe it was the time you stood up, heart pounding in your chest, and spoke with every ounce of courage you had, only to be met with blank stares, dismissive smirks, or worse, laughter. Maybe it was the moment you thought you had finally made it, only to have everything fall apart right in front of you. The pitch that went unheard, the performance that was ridiculed, the risk that ended in disaster. And then the whispers started. The people who once called themselves your friends, shaking their heads behind your back, muttering things like, "I knew it wouldn't work out for them," or "They really thought they had a chance." You tried to ignore it, but ignoring it didn't make it go away, because the real battle wasn't with them. It was inside you, that voice, that quiet, insidious voice that had been waiting for this moment. "Maybe they were right," it whispered. "Maybe you aren't enough. Maybe you never were." At first, you fought it. You screamed back at it, drowning it out with affirmation, with desperate attempts to keep going. But the more you failed, the louder it became. It was there when you lay in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, feeling that deep, sinking weight in your chest. It was there when you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. The fire that once burned so brightly in your eyes, flickering, dying. You stopped talking about your dreams. You stopped telling people about your goals. Because why bother? Every time you tried, you were met with the same reaction, the same doubtful stares, the same condescending smile, the same quiet disbelief that cut deeper than any insult ever could. It wasn't just that they didn't believe in you. It was that they never had, so you started withdrawing. You made yourself smaller. You stopped trying as hard, because trying meant failing, and failing meant another wound, another scar, another reminder that maybe, just maybe, you weren't built for this. And the worst part, you started to believe it. The fire inside you didn't just flicker. It dimmed, it smoldered, it turned to ash. But let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a fire that looks like it's dying, only for it to come back stronger than ever? Because deep in those ashes, something else was waiting to be born. And whether you knew it or not, your story wasn't over yet. They handed you a mask, and you took it. Because what choice did you have? They'd already decided who you were before you even had the chance to prove them wrong. Weak, failure, nobody. Those were the labels they stamped on you like a brand burned into your skin. You weren't seen as a dreamer. You were dismissed as delusional. You weren't seen as someone with ambition. You were ridiculed as naive. And little by little, you felt yourself suffocating beneath the weight of their expectation. So you did what so many before you had done. You played the role they gave you. You nodded in agreement when they told you to be realistic. You laughed along with their jokes about your failures, pretending it didn't bother you. You stayed quiet when they talked about success, as if it was meant for other people. Better people, but never for you. You became the person they expected you to be, because fighting against their perception felt like trying to hold back a tidal wave with your bare hands. You learned to shrink yourself, to fit inside the box they built for you. You stopped speaking up, stopped reaching for things beyond your grasp, because every time you did, you were met with resistance, with secular doubt, with the unspoken but ever-present message, know your place. And oh, how they loved to remind you of your place. They fed you their rules, their expectations, their belief that people like you, people who dared to want more, were doomed to fall. Be humble. But what they really meant was, stay small. Don't get ahead of yourself. But what they really meant was, don't try to rise above us. So you played along. You hid your hunger. You buried your ambition beneath forced smiles and nods of agreement. You convinced yourself that maybe they were right. Maybe dreaming big was foolish. Maybe success was reserved for the chosen few, and you were never meant to be one of them. But no matter how much you tried to silence it, there was still something inside you that refused to die. A flicker of fire, buried beneath the layers of doubt and conditioning. A whisper in the back of your mind that said, "This is not who you are." And that whisper started to grow louder, because deep down, you knew. You were never meant to fit inside their mold. You were never meant to wear the mask they gave you. And sooner or later, something was going to break. The only question was, would it be you, or would it be the chains they placed on you? Let them laugh, let them mock, let them whisper behind your back. But do not forget, every smirk, every dismissive glance, every moment they made you feel small, carry it with you. Not as a wound, not as a weight, but as fuel. Because pain, if left unchecked, will rot inside you. But pain, if harnessed, it becomes power. They told you anger was dangerous. They told you to let go, to forgive, to move on. But they don't understand. Anger is not your enemy. It is your weapon. It is the fire waiting to be lit. It is the steel that will forge you into something unbreakable. They want you to be numb, to accept your place, to swallow their ridicule and say nothing. But you were never meant to be silent. Take that humiliation. Take the rejection, the failure, the doubt. Hold it in your hands and look at it. Feel it. Let it remind you of what they did, of how they made you feel. And then, instead of letting it destroy you, turn it into hunger. Hunger to prove them wrong. Hunger to outwork, outlast, outgrow every single person who doubted you. Hunger to rise so high that their laughter turns to silence, their smirks turn to fear, and their disbelief turns to envy. They don't believe in you? Good. They don't see your potential? Perfect. Because that means they'll never see you coming. That means, while they waste their breath doubting you, you will be working. You will be grinding. You will be transforming into something they cannot stop. They wanted to break you. They wanted to make you doubt yourself. Instead, they built something they'll never be able to control. Because now, that fire inside you, it isn't burning for their approval. It's burning for your own rise. And there is nothing more dangerous than a person who has turned their pain into power. Disappear, vanish, go where no one sees your struggle, while they go about their lives, convinced that you are broken, that you have given up. You will be in the shadows, building something unstoppable. This is the part no one talks about, the part where you, Meshem, go silent, where you stop explaining yourself, where you stop seeking validation, stop looking for approval. The sacrifices no one will ever know about, the moments of doubt that come crashing down on you when no one else is there. Can you handle that? Can you keep moving forward when no one sees, when no one cares, when no one believes? Because this is where most people stop. This is where most people break. They need the recognition. They need the reassurance, but not you. You will learn to thrive in the silence. You will learn to push through without a single word of encouragement. You will learn to keep going, day after day, night after night, when no one even knows what you are becoming. They think you've disappeared 'cause you've lost, but you have only vanished to evolve. And when you finally step back into the light, you will not be the same. You will be unrecognizable. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice. They will never see this part. They will never know about the nights you stayed up, fighting exhaustion, pushing yourself past the limits they set for you. They will never know about the mornings where you dragged yourself out of bed when every muscle in your body screamed for rest. They will never know how many times you wanted to quit but didn't. Because success doesn't announce itself. It grows in the shadows. It is built in the quiet, in the moments no one claps for, in the hours that go unnoticed. Every small victory, the extra rep when your body begged you to stop, the extra page when your mind wanted to give up, the rejection you used as fuel instead of an excuse to quit. These are the moments that separate you. At first, the wins are so small they feel insignificant, but they are stacking, they are compounding, and with every silent victory, something begins to shift inside you. Pain is no longer something you fear. It is something you control. You are no longer running from discomfort. You are chasing it, because discipline is being forged inside you. And discipline, that is the great divider. The thing that sets the ones who dream apart from the ones who achieve. The thing that will make sure, when the moment comes, when the world finally sees what you have become, you are undeniable. They thought you were gone. They thought you had given up. They laughed. They mocked. They moved on, never expecting to hear your name again. But while they were busy celebrating your downfall, you were rebuilding in silence. And now, the moment has come. The first glimpse of something different. The first crack in their certainty. Maybe it's a subtle shift. Your presence feels stronger. Your words carry more weight. Maybe it's the way you walk, the way you no longer flinch under their gaze. Or maybe it's undeniable. A victory they cannot ignore. A promotion they never saw coming. A physique they can no longer scoff at. A skill so sharpened, so undeniable, that it demands respect. For the first time, doubt creeps into them. They won't admit it, not yet. They'll tell themselves it's luck, a fluke, a moment that won't last. But deep down, they feel it, the shift, the unease. Because the version of you they mocked no longer exists. You are not the weak, unsure dreamer they once ridiculed. You are something else now, sharper, harder, unbreakable. And this is just the beginning. You walk into the room, and the air changes. They feel it before they understand it. Something is different. The same faces that once smirked at you, that once dismissed you without a second thought, they hesitate now. They don't laugh this time. They don't roll their eyes because they can't. You're no longer the person they ridicule. The posture, the energy, the unshakable presence. You don't need to say a word, and yet they know. Maybe it's a former boss who once ignored your potential, now forced to acknowledge your success. Maybe it's an old friend who once doubted you, now struggling to find the words. Maybe it's a family member who told you to be realistic, now staring at you with quiet disbelief. They are speechless, not because you yelled, not because you sought revenge, but because you became undeniable. The tables have turned, but you don't need their validation anymore. Their opinions, once so powerful, now mean nothing, because you have rewritten the story. You are no longer the one they laughed at. You are something else now, something unstoppable. At first they pretend not to notice. They downplay it, brush it off. It's just luck. It won't last. They still want to believe you're the same person they once mocked, that you're still beneath them, that your success is temporary, an accident, a moment that will fade. But then the moments start piling up, and their laughter, it stops. Because now, everywhere they turn, there you are, stronger, smarter, more relentless than they ever imagined. The ghost they thought had disappeared has returned, and you are not the same. You no longer seek their approval. You no longer react to their words. You move with purpose, with a quiet confidence that unnerves them. And that's when they begin to realize they were wrong. They don't say it. They never will. But you see it in their eyes, the way they hesitate before speaking, the way they no longer challenge you the way they used to. The fear, not fear of you, the person, fear of what you represent. Proof that their limitations were never real. Proof that the world doesn't belong to those who laugh. It belongs to those who endure. And now, the silence is deafening. The ones who mocked you have nothing left to say. Because what can they say when the person they doubted refuses to break? You do not need them to believe in you. You never did. For so long, their words, their laughter, their disbelief, it fueled you. You wanted to prove them wrong. You wanted to force them to see you, to acknowledge you, to regret ever doubting you. But now, you don't need that anymore. Because the moment you stop seeking their approval is the moment you become unstoppable. You see it clearly now. They were never the ones holding you back. It was never their doubt that mattered. It was never their rejection that defined you. It was the part of you that cared, the part of you that thought their validation meant something. But that part of you is gone now, burned away in the fire of your own evolution. Their opinions, irrelevant. Their recognition, unnecessary. Their acceptance, worthless. You don't need to prove them wrong anymore. You only need to prove yourself right. And in cutting that final emotional tie, you realize something powerful. You are free. Free from their judgments, free from their expectations, free from the limits they tried to place on you. You no longer walk their path. You carve your own. And now, nothing can stop you. Every insult they threw at you, it was never a curse. It was a map, a blueprint, a step-by-step guide to your own transformation. When they called you weak, what they really did was point to the muscle you needed to build. When they said you weren't smart enough, all they did was show you where you needed to sharpen your mind. When they laughed at your dreams, they unknowingly handed you a reason to fight harder than ever before. They thought they were breaking you. They were training you. Their doubt became your drive. Their mockery became your motivation. Every sneer, every rejection, every cruel word. You took it, sharpened it, turned it into a weapon. Now you use their doubt against them. Every time they thought you wouldn't make it, you made sure you did. Every time they swore you'd fail, you pushed twice as hard. And the greatest irony, they built the very thing they feared. Their words were meant to keep you small, but instead they turned you into a force beyond their control. They wanted you weak. Instead, you became untouchable. You do not rise to be liked. You rise to be legendary. This is the turning point, the moment where, but nothing, they say, can touch you. Not their doubt, not their silence, not their last desperate attempts to downplay what you've become. Because now you are no longer fighting to prove them wrong. You are fighting because it's who you are. The fire inside you no longer needs their disbelief to burn. It fuels itself now. You are pure momentum. They can't stop you. They can't slow you down. Even their disbelief only serves as confirmation that you are on the right path. Because now, their doubt doesn't hurt. It amuses you. Their words don't cut. They motivate you. Their resistance doesn't hold you back. It only proves that you have risen beyond their reach. You are no longer seeking a seat at their table. You are building your own. You are no longer asking them for permission. You are taking what's yours. And the most terrifying part for them? You are just getting started. You thought you wanted revenge. You imagined the moment, their faces when they realized they were wrong, the apologies that would never come, the satisfaction of watching them choke on their own doubt. But now, standing here, you understand the truth. It was never about them. It was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right. Revenge is petty. Power is eternal. And true revenge? It isn't screaming your success in their faces. It's rising so high that they no longer matter. It's becoming so untouchable that their opinions, their doubts, their existence fade into irrelevance. Because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And now you feel it, that beautiful, undeniable truth. You don't need their recognition. You don't need their regret. You don't need anything from them. You have built a life so far beyond their reach that their laughter, their insults, their underestimation, it's nothing but a ghost in your past. The real victory is that you don't even care anymore. One day, without warning, it happened. A moment, a glance, a shift so subtle yet so profound that you feel it before you see it. The same people who once mocked you, they don't laugh anymore. The same ones who dismissed you, they struggle to meet your gaze because now they see it and it terrifies them. The power, the presence, the undeniable proof that you have become something they never thought possible. You have shattered every expectation, defied every doubt, and built yourself into something they can neither ignore nor control. For the first time, they are the ones who feel small. For the first time, they are the ones unsure of their place. Envy creeps into their eyes. Regret settles in their silence, and buried beneath it all, fear. Not fear of what you might do, but fear of what you already are. Because you are the living proof that they were wrong, and nothing is more terrifying than watching the person they once laughed at become the force they never saw coming. You do not need to laugh at them. You do not need to mock them the way they mocked you. Because now you see the truth. Their opinions never mattered. Their laughter was never a measure of your worth. Their doubt was never a reflection of your potential. It was only noise. And now it is silent. You could look back. You could gloat. You could throw their words back in their faces. But why would you? You have already won. Your success is the only sound that matters now. You are too far ahead to hear them anymore. Too focused on your own climb to concern yourself with those who never even tried to rise. And so, you do not waste your breath on revenge. You do not waste your energy proving anything to those who doubted you. You do what they never could. You keep moving forward. Because the real victory isn't in their regret. It's in your freedom. You are no longer bound by their judgments, no longer fueled by their disbelief. You are something greater now. And that is the loudest silence they will ever hear. You are no longer who they mocked. That version of you is dead. The hesitant dreamer. The one who second-guessed, the one who flinched under their laughter, who shrank when they dismissed you. Gone, burned away in the fire of your own transformation. What stands in their place is something else entirely, something stronger, something colder, something unstoppable. You move differently now, with purpose, with power. Your presence alone demands respect, not because you ask for it, but because it is undeniable. You do not explain yourself. You do not justify your existence. You simply dominate. Their words, their opinions, their judgments, they bounce off you like whispers against steel. You no longer react to them because they no longer matter. You have become the force they never thought you could be. And the most terrifying part, you are still rising. Because this is not the end. This is only the beginning of what you are becoming. Now you play by your own rules. The life you once dreamed of, the life they told you was impossible, is now yours to shape. You no longer ask for permission. You take what is yours. You no longer wait for opportunities. You create them. Their world, their limits, their expectations, they no longer apply to you. Because you have built something greater than their approval. You have built yourself. You no longer seek validation. You seek mastery. You no longer crave recognition. You crave greatness. And now, as you look ahead, you see it clearly. The road stretches infinitely before you. No barriers, no ceilings, no one left to stop you. Because this journey was never about them. It was always about you. And now, you are free. Truly, finally, undeniably free. The world no longer laughs at you. Now it watches in awe. The voices that once mocked you, silent. The faces that once sneered, staring in disbelief. Because you did what they never thought possible. You endured. You rose. You became unstoppable. You no longer need revenge. You no longer need their regret. You have outgrown all of it. Now, they don't laugh. They watch. They whisper. They wonder how you did it. How the one they ridiculed became the one they now fear, admire, and respect all at once. But you don't look back. You don't slow down. Because this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. And that is the last laugh.